Backdrop here, I figured I'd give you a little bit of information about the rock itself. The rock is made of granite. This particular type of granite is called Town Mountain granite. We have several different types of granite within the state of Texas. You know, it's a very good building material and there's courthouses out of it, jetties at the coast, countertops, but it's constantly being eroded. This is constantly changing before our eyes. Like down in the creek, you saw all that grit in the creek. That's all decomposed granite that's been breaking down off the rock. If you look at the rock itself, you can see all these boulders rolling down the hill, and up there, that shelf, and these big boulders over here, this weigh several hundred tons apiece. If you look at them, it seems like there used to be another layer on the rock, and there did used to be one. This is what we call an exfoliation zone. A good way to think about it is like an onion. You know, you cut into an onion and you have the different layers of the onion as you go through it. It's kind of the same thing here, only on a much larger scale. And eventually, over time, these layers shift, break loose, and come sliding down. One of the main factors that affects this rock is the freeze and thaw cycle. You know, everybody here has probably had a pipe break when it gets too cold, right? You know, ice expands, it cracks stuff. Here, small cracks form, the ice or water comes down, gets in it. In a real severe cold winter, you know, the water freezes and cracks apart the rock. Also, you know, what happens when you step on an icy patch? You usually wind up sitting down, right? And the same goes with these boulders. Like, it's kind of hard to see, but we'll see some good examples of boulders that look like it go up and just give them a nudge and they go sliding down, but just their weight is holding them in place. So you get a little bit of ice under that, and these boulders move, and you don't want to be in their way when they come down. I haven't seen one move yet, but some people have. This is pretty impressive. As you can see, some of these rocks, I mean, this is a process that's taken thousands of years, and a lot of this has happened long enough ago where life is able to survive up in here. You can see all these live oaks are coming up in the rock. I find it amazing that trees can survive up there as it is anyways. This rock can get up to about 160 degrees in the summertime, and obviously there's not a whole lot of water out here for them. I mean, the trees down here have a hard enough time as it is, and you can see there's a lot of stunted growth as caused by the drought last year. A lot of these trees are still recovering. If we were up to date on our water from last year, we'd be well ahead. We've got about 8 inches of rain so far this year, but because of that drought last year, we're still very far behind in terms of how much water we actually need out here. The rock formed about 1 billion years ago. It formed underground, and it's what we call a batholith, meaning it formed underground and then was eventually eroded and exposed to the surface of the earth. When it formed, it was several hundred feet below the seafloor, and above that there was a shallow sea. So the rock that it formed underneath was all sedimentary. It was all limestone, sandstone. As you drove through the hills around here, you can see some hills are still covered with the limestone and sandstone, but here it's all eroded away. We have other places back in the park where you can still see sandstone covering some of the abutments, but for the most part, out here it's exposed. And what you're looking at behind me is just the tip of the iceberg. In this park, we have about 640 acres, that's about a square mile of granite exposed. But there's so much of this rock still underground. And also, once we go up top, 15 miles to the north, you can see Bullhead Mountain. You're actually standing on Bullhead Mountain. The batholith goes up, back underground and then comes back up at Bullhead. And it's all interconnected. It goes about, I think, 20 miles to the north and about 12 miles to the south. And way down. It has a very interesting mineral composition. We have a lot of biotite mica in it. Potassium feldspar, that's going to be what's giving it the pink color, and also a lot of quartz and other minerals. The Texas State Gem topaz can be found out in granitic conditions, and also amethyst and other crystals. You will see some veins of quartz walking up the rock, and also back in the park, we do have a place called Crystal Hill where there's just these big boulders of quartz sticking out of the ground. Why they form in some areas and not others, I really don't know. It's just, you know, the way it happened. And you can also see, as we go up the rock, you'll see different veins of what we call pegmatite. It's like granite, but a little bit different. and that formed later. It was just shoved up through cracks in the granite as other underground eruptions happened and the magma was forced into the cracks. So that's kind of the history, briefly, of the geology of this rock. And if y'all have any questions, I'll answer them.